medical industry.
Sorry about that, Rajat.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So again, I'm Rajat Roy, and CEO and one of the co-founders of the company. Pathomiq was founded with a great mission to address a major unmet need that exists in the medical industry in cancer care for reliable predictive tests that can help physicians in the clinic prescribe personalized treatment for each cancer patient, leading to much better disease outcome that exists today. And Pathomiq is offering such predictive tests to the physicians for several cancer types, empowering precision medicine as well as both accelerating and improving the success rate of drug development in pharmaceutical companies. Now, as we all know, cancer is a very heterogeneous disease. That means that not all cancer patients respond to the same treatment the same way. And unfortunately, the physicians, before starting a treatment, they do not know whether the patient is going to respond to the treatment. And even if they respond, whether they will recur in 6 to 9 months or 12 months, or they would recur after 4 or 5 years. If they were to recur in quickly, then they could have given a much more aggressive treatment and not subject to the people who would actually have a recurrence or a delayed or recurrence from that treatment. So we have developed these tests, game-changing AI predictive tests for the precision treatment in cancer, and it assists the physicians to identify those cancer patients who would actually fail standard of care and not give them, and also assist physicians to select the right treatment at the right time for each cancer patient to improve clinical outcome. And as you know, there are a lot of mutations that happens in a very small percentage of patients who could benefit from targeted therapy, but the physicians are actually not able to prescribe them because the insurance companies would not pay for anybody unless they have a very good reason to know that mutation exists for a target therapy. And we are able to screen in a couple of hours to identify those patients who actually can benefit from those targeted therapy. Now, we all know that in 2022, there were 19.3 million cancer cases that were diagnosed, leading to 11.5 million advanced metastatic stage into 10 million deaths. And it's estimated in 2030 that number is going to get worse to almost 30 million patients. So now there are a lot of genomic tests that are available in the clinic, which the physicians are using regularly. But unfortunately, the response rate, the accuracy of those treatments are pretty low, in the range of 60 to 70% AUC. And these are very expensive tests, takes a long time, 6 to 8 weeks sometimes to get the results. So, that is pretty much leading to, almost 50 to 70% of inaccurate treatment to treatment failure and cancer progression. And the same problem exists with the pharmaceutical companies, that they do not have a predictive test for them to select patients that actually would benefit from their new drugs that they're developing would be better than a standard of care. And after spending billions of dollars in the cancer area, in the oncology space, the success rate is 2.5%. And why there's a lack of predictive tests, you can see here, there are two tissues here from prostate cancer. On the right-hand side, our model has predicted all these blue regions, which are cancer regions, but these areas are actually responsive to a particular treatment, whereas the red regions are the areas, very small area, which are actually resistant to a treatment. So the problem is that with the current genomic analysis that they do with the tissue whole genome sequencing and tissue, they identify the most predominant gene mutations, and they are able to get that success rate in 30 to 40%. But what happens to the rest of the events is because when they average it across all the thousands and millions of cells, those red regions are lost. They are lost in the whole blue array of so many cells of responding cells. So what we have done, we have been able to use our AI-based models that can extract very rich features on the diagnostic tissue which are available. But the way we do it, we have got the domain experts and the pathologists and the AI scientists work together to understand the biology itself from the get-go and understand what the pathologists are already aware of. So we take them as a starting point and the outcome prediction, and then extract in a much more unsupervised way features that can relate to who are the patients who are responding and who are not, so that we can understand these are the features that can tell us the resistivity to a particular treatment and not give that treatment. That allows us both interpretability to those signatures that we are identifying, plus giving us a best-in-class AI prediction accuracy that we have obtained thus far. Now, in the clinical practice, as we say that the genomic tests already exist, but the advantages of our test over the genomic tests that are regularly used, that we have a tremendous amount of much higher 20% improved accuracy over what exists today in the clinic. We have 80 to 90% accuracy compared to less than 70%. Our predictive tests are cloud-based, and the answers are given in a couple of hours, where you don't have to ship any glass tissues, where in the case of genomic, you have to send the glass tissues, takes 6 to 8 weeks. It's a very fast processing time. The cost is obviously exorbitant in a genomic test, where in our case, it's much, much lower because our development cost is much smaller. And in the case of the test, we are basically not looking for any glass slides, but a digitized scan images of those tissue images, where in their case, the material or the glass slides has to be shipped. And if they cannot, and if it doesn't have too much of tumor, then you have to send another biopsy tissue or a surgical specimen. But in our case, we can use the same digitized images over and over again. And we have a very distributed cloud environment where anybody from anywhere across the globe can access to our test and get the answer. Where in this case, you have to ship wherever you are to the centralized lab of that particular genomic test. From a competitive landscape, there are several AI companies today, PathAI, PageAI, Ibex, Prosia, which are very good companies focused on cancer detection diagnostic. Primarily, they are helping to automate the clinical workflow of a pathologist, whereas we, Pathomiq, and our two competitors, Atera and Okin, are primarily focused on providing prognostic and predictive tests for the physicians and the surgeons who can use this test to know whether the patient, what treatment to give in a personalized way. And we have done much better than the existing tests from some of the genomic companies that are listed below. Now, this test that we have developed over time, over the last several years, we are ready to now commercialize. Our first one is the Pathomiq prostate product, which kind of predicts the metastasis after surgery or radiation, and also who should be put in active surveillance versus going for a treatment. And that is basically validated across multiple medical institutions and are in use in clinical trials as well, which will be followed next year by a triple-negative breast cancer response to chemotherapy, which is a very important aspect of whether to know whether to give chemo or not. And chemo has a lot of different types of variations of docetaxel, adriamycin, to know which one actually will work, and whether to give immunotherapy for patients who would not respond. Similarly, we have also similar results for non-small cell lung cancer who would actually benefit from immunochemotherapy versus just chemotherapy. Plus, we also have products in the pipeline that we have validated across multiple institutions in terms of these genomic mutations. So these are all protected by several patents, and they have been validated across multiple institutions and working with big pharmaceutical companies. We have published papers on prostate with Johnson & Johnson in ASCO, with Mount Sinai, Cleveland Clinic, MD Anderson, and we have also patented that. We have been issued multiple patents in the US, as well as we are now waiting for pending patents in Europe. And these are all in the peer-reviewed journals with MD Anderson, Cleveland Clinic, Mount Sinai, Wisconsin-Madison, Johnson & Johnson. So several, I would say the medical institutions and pharmaceutical companies who have collaborated with us, we have published all the results. And what we are addressing is a big market of $50 billion plus in 2026. And this is the platform, interactive platform portal, where the physician has to log in to upload the images, the scanned images, and we will, within 2 hours, will give you the results, and the patient and the physician doesn't have to wait for 6 to 8 weeks to get an accuracy of 70%. Here we are talking about 80% plus accuracy in 2 hours to say whether the patient, here we are talking about a patient who had surgery, and the question is whether the patient would have metastasis in less than 3 years. And we are able to say that in 2 hours, that yes, the patient has a very high likelihood of metastasis in 3 years. So now the physician can use that information to give the right treatment rather than giving the treatment that was actually approved for a patient at adjuvant setting. And we are partnering with several CLIA certified HIPAA compliant labs who are partners, who the ordering physician will be sending their orders to these partner labs who have access to our software to get the results, generate the report, and we send it back to them, who send it back to that. So that is the clinical flow. It's called a lab developed test with that partner of ours, where the test is being results are being sent back to the physician who's sending the tissue images to be scanned and to be uploaded to our entity. We have a great world-class experienced multidisciplinary medical oncologists who have been, head of organizations like Dr. Wilding is our chief medical officer. He was the head of research and clinical operations at MD Anderson. We have Parag, who has extensive background in data science from Stanford University. And Dr. Basu is also from MD Anderson, bioscientist. Dr. Huang, who's our chief of pathology, who graduated from Harvard Medical, and Dr. Mark Rubin. Dr. Shivani Kumar, who's a head of, used to be at Stanford and Yale, right now is the head of NCI Cancer Center in Oregon. And we have Hassan Chensu, who are PhD computational data scientists from Cornell and have worked at Sloan Kettering. We have luminaries and leaders in our SAB and collaborators. In the top row, these are all the luminaries and leaders in the prostate space. And in the bottom row are all the folks who are luminaries who are in the breast, who have guided us through this journey in not only sharing the use cases that we should be working on, but also giving us access to data, because we are AI-based platform. So we need a lot of data to ensure that we have the right robust platform. Thank you very much for your time, and any questions you can send to me at this. I will send the email address, but the phone number I have given over here. Thank you, Roger.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rajat.